Hi, my name is Kelly Hoffman. I'm a K-4 reading specialist. Welcome to Why Use a Wiki. In this presentation, you will be learning about the benefits of using a wiki within classroom instruction. We will start out by learning about who are these kids that sit in front of us on a daily basis. We will learn about the traits that the net generation brings to us as educators, which will help us be more prepared in educating them. Next, we will learn about what is a wiki. I am sure we have all heard of a wiki before, but maybe have not had the opportunity to see one or use one. We will look at a few examples of wikis and see what they have to offer. Then we will discuss ways that wikis can be used within different disciplines in the classroom. I will spend a little bit of time focusing on how wikis can be used specifically within the reading classroom. We have all heard of the baby boomers, Generation X, and even Generation Y. But who is this net generation? The net generation are the students who are currently sitting in front of you in your classrooms. Students in the net generation grew up in very different times from when we were growing up. They grew up in a world of technology, and because of this have very different traits than previous generations. They are confident. They believe they are working smart and do not necessarily need to work hard. They are sociable. They use technology for this, but many times the way they socialize is not in the traditional sense of socialization. Another trait of the net generation is that they are problem solvers. They spend a lot of time trying to solve problems and analyze solutions on the fly. This stems from a lot of the video games the generation has been introduced to. They are also resilient. They realize that if they work hard enough at something, you will eventually succeed at mastering the skill. Competitive is another trait used to describe the net generation. They believe that winning matters and have a competitive drive within themselves. Finally, net generation students are multitaskers. They want to quickly go from one activity to another as they complete tasks and process and gather information. These traits are important for us as educators to keep in mind as we become facilitators of learning for the net generation. It is our job to find a way to facilitate learning that takes into account each of these traits of the net generation. One tool that we can use to facilitate learning for the net generation is a wiki. A wiki is a website that allows anyone to become a participant. The participants can create or edit the actual site contents without any special technical training. All you need is a computer with an internet connection. A wiki is continuously under revision. Wikipedia is probably the most famous wiki site. It is an online encyclopedia with no authors but millions of contributors and editors. Wikis are used by people collaborating on projects or trying to share things online. At this time, college and university courses seem to be using wikis more than the K-12 community. Wikis can be used to conduct or follow up after professional development workshops. Also, teachers use them as a communication tool with parents. However, wikis can also be used within the classroom by allowing the students to participate in the creation of a wiki. In a blog, people can comment on posts made by authors, but there cannot be any changes made. Wikis are more of an open structure that allows others to change what someone else has said. Let's take a look at an example of a grade 1 wiki. This is a very simple first grade classroom wiki. On this page, the class has created a continuous story that anyone can add to. Take note of the Edit This Page button, which is used for any participant to add to the story. Also, the Discussion tab allows anyone to comment on the page. Finally, photographs, graphics, and video can also be easily added. Wikis can be used in all disciplines. In science, a wiki could be used in chemistry class to describe lab experiments, and students can add results after the completion of the lab. A student-made glossary of scientific terms can be started at the beginning of the year. Students can be responsible for adding in photos or graphics to help with the representation of the words. In social studies, a debate could be held on any type of issue or during the presidential election. students could create a travel brochure on a state or a time period that they are studying. In math, in higher level math, such as calculus, this would provide a forum for students to collaborate on those difficult problems. Students could share real-life math examples. They can add times when they've used math in the real world. Elementary students could show pictorial representations of math problems. The younger students should not be left out of using wikis because we think they may be too young to participate. Students could do book reviews or author studies. They could also do a virtual version of the Flat Stanley idea, where Flat Stanley travels to different places. Instead of writing letters, the authors could post on the Wiki site. When we think of responding to literature, most of us quickly think about reading response journals. We can easily use wikis within reading to help motivate and encourage our students to respond. Reading prompts can be provided on the Wiki site and students would respond directly to the site. Students can then see other students' responses and be required to respond to others. Students are then receiving feedback not only from their teacher but also from others. Reading response logs are also typically only ever seen by the teacher and the writer. Using a wiki for response logs would enable other students to get ideas about what books they might want to read and motivate them to try new literature. Finally, we saw an example of how wikis can be used for story writing. Continuous story writing is an easy and fun way to have students working together to create one piece of writing. This could be integrated as part of a learning center throughout the day. Students will be very excited to see that reading no longer has to be done just using pencil and paper. The next generation comes to us with a unique set of traits. It is our job to make sure we use those traits and facilitate learning in a way that engages and motivates our students. Will you take on the challenge to move from our traditional sense of learning, where students are glued to their own desks with pencils, paper, and books, and move to learning where competitive, sociable students are encouraged to work together as problem solvers, perhaps through a tool such as a wiki? Hopefully you will try out a wiki soon.